Good. Well, welcome to the BVI Dance. It's good to have you back after your initial visit some years ago. You're always a very animated speaker and bring a high level of credibility to what you say. We have to, as a destination, a jurisdiction, I want to thank you too for what you do in the world in terms of someone who's willing to get up and speak for those of us who want to live in the offshore space. Sometimes we are looked at as being the devil. And I think there's a lot of good that we do. But it was interesting hearing your comments today as to where you think Mr. Trump is going to go. He's going to get the nod in a 72 hours time and become the king of the hill. What are your thoughts in terms of how you think he's going to do overall as you go forward?
Well, first, I appreciate you bringing me down here. BVI is such a quality jurisdiction, and plus it's warmer than it is in Washington, so lots of good reasons. But Donald Trump he's a man of mystery in terms of public policy. I mean, we know his personality. He's been visible in the media, sort of the entertainment sphere, business entertainment, sort of this bizarre niche that he's very successfully carved out for himself. But is he going to be a free market Reaganite reformer? Is he going to be haphazard all over the map, which is perhaps the best guess? Will he be sort of a big government Republican like George W. Bush? The honest answer is nobody knows yet.
Well, he's got some of his ideas that we kind of kicked around this morning earlier. His ideas on the infrastructure spend, the tax cut thing, that certainly will create some opportunity for Americans that we certainly, as a huge destination for North American visitors, hope that some of that goodwill will accrue to us. I think some of those things he's probably going to get through the House and the Senate and maybe sign off fairly quickly on. Some of the other things we'll see where it goes. We think he certainly has a fairly strong team around him, particularly on the national security side, which is always a challenge. And we'll see where it goes. Any thoughts in terms of where you think he will end up in terms of his OECD leanings and the importance of that to us?
Well, during the Bush years, we had a victory in the sense that we got enough pressure on the Bush administration that they were they held the OECD to arm's length. And because you can't have a global tax cartel without the U.S., just like you can't have OPEC without Saudi Arabia, the fact that the U.S. was sort of neutral to the whole project basically took the wind out of the sails for the OECD. Now, the senior OECD officials, before the election, when they assumed Hillary was going to win, said very nasty things about Trump. I have helpfully reminded Trump's people about the very negative things that the OECD said about him. I'm hoping he will, if for no other reason than just wanting to get revenge, I'm hoping that he'll say, wait, you guys, get lost. I don't like you. Maybe even cut U.S. funding and subsidies for the OECD. Now, it could be that Trump never even bothers to learn what OECD stands for, never pays attention to it, and maybe there'll be one bad appointee at someplace like the Treasury Department who gives the OECD support. So at this point in time, just like with so many things, we don't really know what to expect.
No, but I think I fully agree with you. His posture towards the OECD is going to be quite influential in where it goes. With Europe having its trouble now, I think, as you said in your comments this morning, actually, if he is kind of adverse and looks at them in a askance kind of a way, it would, I think you put it strategically correct, give the BVI a breathing space to do some other things and not constantly have the OECD sitting in Paris or wherever they are dictating what things should happen, because the work we do in terms of facilitating the global economy is, I think, very important. We think it's important. Other people think it's important. The other thing I found interesting was the President Xi from China, the kind of posture he's taking on the whole globalization thing. Taking the opposite, I suppose he's very strategic, seen an opportunity, seen an opening to stand up. As you know, he's in Davos this week, which is a first. So it is quite an interesting milieu that we live in.
Well, it's one of the great ironies of my last 15 years of working on this issue. At the 2009 OECD Global Forum in Mexico City, it was actually China that stopped the OECD from making some progress on some issues. So in the past, China has been helpful, not just in terms of globalization, but also in terms of realizing that the OECD agenda is basically about trying to protect the interests of countries that are losing capital. Well, China is attracting capital, much of it funneled through BVI. And so if China is looking out for Chinese interests, they should be very much against what the OECD is trying to do.
And that certainly helps us as we continue down the road with this. I think certainly this year, 2017, is already picked up from 2016. There's a lot of uncertainty to go. There's a lot of, as you spoke to this morning too, and there's a lot of very difficult European elections to be had. Only God knows where we're going to end up a year from now. But we have to keep plowing forward, and we certainly hope Mr. Trump succeeds, not only for US6, but for us too. The US is our largest trading partner, and we've always had a very good relationship with the US, and we don't see it changing. So we are looking anxiously on from a distance.
Well, we're looking anxiously from up close. Though this actually gives me a chance to say something.
Sure.
What we're seeing with Trump and what we're seeing with some of the populist parties in Europe, that's not the problem. That's the symptom. The problem is that we've had almost the entire 21st century just too much regulation and government spending and higher taxes, that the private economy has been so sort of smothered by governments all around the world that there's been no growth. And when people have no growth, they get frustrated, and when they get frustrated, they're vulnerable to populism. So I actually think it's some of the IMF types and Davos types and stuff like that. These people who want to keep the status quo think it's perfectly okay to have big government, and yet that's ultimately leading to the economic stagnation that feeds the bad kind of populism.
And you can see that of all places, very, very clearly in Europe. You look at Europe, in my humble opinion, they're not going anywhere today, tomorrow, or God knows how long. And it's what I sometimes feel quite passionate about as a small overseas territory is that they sit up there with their high taxes and high government spending, don't want to look at that side of it and just say the little overseas territories that are on a living, staying on the narrow and straight part, we should be buried. I find it quite interesting, but
Yeah, the OECD and the European countries that dominate the OECD's membership, they're perfectly content to make BVI a casualty in their effort to prop up their welfare states for another year or two. And I just think that's wrong.
Yeah, and we as the overseas territory, and one of them certainly, we have got to be aware of that, and we've got to find ways to, where there's some allegiances and alliances, we find a way to keep beating back. It's not easy, but what do? We're not giving up.
Good, because we're not giving up either.
Yeah. Thanks. I certainly enjoyed the rest of his stay, and as you head back to DC, to the cool, remember there's a little bit of warmth down here.
Well, maybe I'll ask for asylum while I'm here.
Well, the Premier is here and the Governor is here, so we can probably set that on time. Yeah. Good. Thanks, Dan.
Great. Thank you.